Hello, gorgeous lady, and welcome back to The Subconscious Expert. Today, I'm giving you a little bit of a behind the scenes of Rebecca Haydon HQ because I have so many people ask what I do to support my subconscious mind. And as the subconscious expert, I thought it was about time I showed you a little bit of behind the scenes. Well, not showed you because we're here on a podcast, but talked you through how I support myself subconsciously on a literal day-to-day basis. And it is one of the real questions I get when I am working with my clients one-to-one, and to be honest is the whole reason and preface behind my membership, the subconscious membership, because I wanted a place, especially within the membership, where you could plug in every single day and work on your subconscious mind without having to sit and journal for 3 hours or do 100 meditations a day. And actually what it looks like for me, because there are practical daily subconscious steps that I take that truly strengthen my new neural pathways, my new beliefs. I speak to my parts. There's a lot of work that I do. And I kind of wanted to take you on a bit of a journey of the subconscious work that I've done on myself, but equally what are my practical day-to-day exercises that strengthen my subconscious mind, that have really allowed the success that I've had in the business and will carry on allowing me to be successful in anything I ever do. And like I said, this is one of the big questions that my clients ask me, and I'm very open as a coach. Whenever you're in my world, in any containers that I ever put out, I'm very open in showing how I work, what I do, what I'm going through, what that looks like. And this is a question that I get asked all the time because I think there's such a perception around the subconscious work that I have to be constantly talking to myself, or constantly with a pen and paper and journaling it through. And although people do that and it's very helpful for them, it doesn't work for me. I have my own tools and techniques, and I wanted to show you that. I wanted to talk you through that today because I think there's more power in what you do daily, minute in, minute out with your subconscious mind and the beliefs and the parts that come up, than these kind of deep, transformational 3-hour session. And although the one-to-one sessions that I have and that hour that I have with my clients where I do the very deep timeline therapy and NLP and hypnotherapy work that I do with them is very, very important, I find the biggest results, the biggest breakthroughs, the biggest next level upness comes from the things you do daily, the very micro actions that you take. And that really is, for me, where the magic happens. So I actually wanted to do a little journey on my subconscious journey because I have been doing subconscious work for a long time now, a really long time. And like many hundreds and thousands of people in the entrepreneur space, in the self-development space more than anything, it started with The Secret. Oh, lo and behold, here we are, back to The Secret again. However, when I was in drama school, for those who know and have listened to the podcast, or those who don't know, I was a professional performer before I started this career, a career in hypnotherapy, NLP, the coaching that I do, the way I help clients now. And as a performer, it's a really, really hard job. Horrendous, in fact. That horrendous that I was that passionate about being a performer that I actually left the industry because it was that bad for my mental health that no amount of passion or drive or want to be a performer would keep me there. It was that bad. Shout out to all my performers still going right now. However, when I was in college, you had constant knockbacks. The resilience that I built from the performing arts industry is truly what I think part of what makes me a great business owner now, because the resilience had to be through the roof. But there's a lot of rejection, there's a lot of knockbacks, there's a lot of opinions. And especially when I was at college, so I went to a stage school called London Studio Centre, we were based in King's Cross for the first 2 years, and then over in kind of near Wimbledon for the last year. But there's a lot of opinions, and it very much is on how you look, how big the gap is between your teeth, what size of clothing you wear, how you sing. Like, you're very much being... you're very much getting jobs based on who you are as a person, which goes deep. It goes deep into your identity. And it got to a point where my identity was shot. My self-belief, my self-worth, my self-validation, everything about myself was pretty much on the floor. And not weirdly, but my mom was going through her NLP qualification at this time. So NLP has been, in my life, and she trained as a coach as well. She does a lot of executive coaching and kind of that side of things. And I'd had this NLP book up on my shelf, and we talked about kind of mindset and how your mind has such a big impact. And I wish more than anything I knew what I knew now back then in 2012. It would have been very different. I know I've said that a lot, but the mind has such an impact on how you show up. The same as your business is the same as how you perform, because in your business you are literally your brand. You are selling yourself, quote unquote. I know you're selling a service, but it's coming as you as well. So I started being like, right, I've got to fucking do something, because I can't deal with feeling like this all the time. At that point, I was going through a lot of boy troubles as well, as you usually do around that age. And it got to a point where I was on depression tablets at that point. I couldn't look at anyone in the eye. I couldn't even speak to my mom. Like, it got that engrossed for me that I was like, the only way out is me. Like, I am the only way out of this, and I can't keep living the way that I was. I was in constant panic, constantly crying on the bus, constantly being kind of like downtrodden, but allowing it and then believing it, and not being able to kind of leave it as like, that's someone's opinion and that's the end of it. It's got nothing to do with me. I wasn't in that place at that time. So I started to look into the self-development world, which would have been subconscious work, and reading The Secret and kind of learning how the reticular activated system works, and how, like, we used to like have so stupid where we used to live in so we were on the Northern Line, and on the Northern Line there's two branches. There's like the High Barnet branch and the Edgware branch, I think it is. I could be wrong there. And so we would go to college and be like, oh, let's manifest that the High Barnet branch is there and waiting for us to get on, so we don't have to wait on the tube. So I used to do it with car parking spaces and stuff. So I was kind of like putting things into practice. And another thing that I started to do is I started to see almost kind of like mindset coaches as well. I don't think there definitely weren't therapists. It was more kind of like that forward thinking and that mind, like from a mindset perspective as well. Like, I remember in London, like I had seen a hypnotherapist at this time. I had done like a lot of work on the colors, and this is why I use colors so much with my clients now, because I very much get it and why they did it. So my subconscious journey had like already began pre me going into this world anyway. And then when I got to Australia, so I moved to Australia in 2019, which I thought was going to be my forever home. Lo and behold, here I am in the UK. I'm back, baby. No, I've been back for ages, but I went to Australia and I was like, I have no clue who I am, what I'm doing, what this looks like, what this is. I kind of got to start afresh, which was just such an amazing feeling, especially when I'd kind of been stuck in this whole like, what the hell do I do now? Now I can't perform. It's the thing that I've wanted to do since I was 3 years old. Like I literally started dancing when I was 3, and that's all I ever wanted. So when I got to Australia and I started blogging, which is really where my business started, I started blogging, and I would basically blog on all of the tools that I'd learnt from a self-development space that had helped me during my performing arts days. And so many people were like coming back to me and being like, that's really helped me. That tool really helped. This really helped. And so that's kind of where my subconscious journey started. It really started when I did my first coaching qualification, which was back in 2019. I signed up in April of 2019. I still remember the phone conversation of me like signing up to the course. I did this huge course. It was a mass amount of money at that time. It was like 12k AUD, so that's kind of equated to about 6k in the UK. Because I signed up for the master qualification, so I had NLP, emotional intelligence, hypnotherapy, speaking, coaching, you name it, I did it all. And when I started to really dive into my subconscious, I was like, well, no fucking wonder we've been feeling this way, because these are the beliefs we hold about ourselves. And these are the parts that come in, and this is what I'm listening to, and this is what I'm feeding my mind every single day. And through process of working through beliefs with timeline therapy, which is one of the tools that I use in the membership and with my one-to-ones, through hypnosis, again, in membership, like I use across the board because they helped so much for me, I really started to unravel the knots. And that's what I saw it as. Like I saw myself as this like tight, wound up knot where I couldn't see, believe, or stand in my own power. And so many people used to say, even in the performing arts industry, and I was very talented. Now I actually can say it about myself. I wouldn't be able to say it back then, but I was very talented. I stood out a lot, and I did get a lot of like, I had the lead role in our third year show for Parade, the musical, if you know it. I would get the kind of leads in the little like tap numbers and stuff. Like I stood out. I had something about me, a lot of my personality and my sunshine energy and everything that really helps the business as well. Like those things stood out, but I did not believe it. I couldn't see it because I'd been fed, pretty much since I was a younger, and a lot of it does stem back to my very first dance teacher, which I've done a lot of work on, of how she behaved around me and what I learned from her and everything. But I had so many people say to me, like, Beck, I just wish that you could see yourself the way that we see you. And that power that I couldn't see, that like passion that I couldn't see, the talent that I couldn't see, basically stopped me from being successful. And I got into business and I was like, oh, patterns are happening again. Like literally every pattern that I'd had from the performing arts industry was repeating in my business. People were saying the same things. God, I wish you could see what we see in you, Beck. You're smashing it. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Business is shit. Like, there was so many patterns that were repeating. I was like, I cannot let this beat me. Like, no way, Jose, am I having this happen again? And that is where like the subconscious work for me has to happen on that deeper level for you to get to that next stage of your business, because you're just going to constantly repeat the patterns. This is why staying plugged in, this is why I created the membership, the subconscious membership, because I want people to stay plugged into the subconscious work. It's not this kind of like one time in and done. Like 2019, I went to 7 days of NLP and then I went to another 9 days to do my master's, and it was like, okay, I'm done, I'm fixed now. No, like the maintenance of your subconscious really helps you sustain the success. It helps you to sustain the consistency, to keep in that kind of like discipline. There's so much that happens by you having this like constant work on your subconscious. And yes, at the beginning, it felt really uncomfortable. Like I remember that first NLP like that first NLP day, it was 7 days. And I just remember sitting there and being like, shit. Okay, like there is a lot going on in my subconscious here. And what was, difficult for me was that I had a very good upbringing. I had incredible supportive parents. Like my dad had an accident when I was in year 6, and that brought a lot of money beliefs in for me. But apart from that, like I hadn't had this like big T trauma that a lot of people in the room were bringing up. And I was like I shouldn't be having these beliefs or feeling this way. But hell yes, they were my beliefs. They were what I saw. They're what my subconscious was thinking. And it was really stopping me from doing things. So fast forward a little bit of time later, I really started to see the difference. And I remember it would have been May of 2020. And I had like a lot of business besties. We were all kind of on this journey together. Maybe it was May of 2021. I always forget. But there was a time where I was like, right, we've done the subconscious work. We're doing the subconscious work. We're doing the thing. Let's make it happen. Let's really step into this deep-rooted self-belief. Let's really start to have this shine out onto social media. And I blew up. And then basically the trajectory of the business has just carried on blowing up since then. And everyone was messaging me being like, what are you doing? Please teach me. And all of it was the subconscious work. It was how I was embodying. It was how I was being. It was what I was doing from an action point of view. And oh my God, like people were like, what has happened? Please show me. Like I had people working with me who I thought were ahead of me, who were like, please tell me what you were doing. And it was because of the subconscious work. So fast forward now, I have got my dream life. I've got my dream man. I live in my dream location. I'm having my dream baby girl. Like there's so many things that I'm so grateful of. I'm about to start building my dream, like my next dream business. I've already built my dream business. I'm starting to build my next dream business of an NLP school where I get to teach people NLP so you can go out in the world and help people change their lives too. What do I do to keep subconsciously on top of things? Because if you are constantly maintaining your subconscious, the work feels less heavy and it still feels uncomfortable for me. Like things will come up and I'm like, oh God, that feels really uncomfortable. But it's the quickness that I work through it and what I call the bounce back ability. I still have spirals. I still have negative thoughts. I still have moments where I think I can't do it, as does every human, because I'm a fucking human too. But actually what happens is I don't stay in the trigger, in the spiral, in the mindset for too long. I bounce back out because of these tools that I use. So when you see me on my story say subconscious work done for the day, or plug it into the subconscious, or when you're like, what does she actually do? Let me tell you. The first thing for me is just like constant awareness, which I know you're like, oh, tell me something I don't know, Beck. You say it on every fucking podcast. And I'm like, yes, I say it for an absolute reason, because awareness for me, I have trained my subconscious to be very aware of the thoughts that are coming in, so I can be like, oh, okay, that doesn't feel quite aligned or quite right to where I'm going. Let's have a look. And I think the more aware you are, and the more aware you are of your parts, I've talked about parts work a lot on this podcast. We have a specific parts work classroom inside the subconscious membership, which is absolutely incredible, with the private podcast, the hypnosis track, visualization, mindset training. It really does give you a complete overview of parts. If you want a little bit more of an understanding of parts, there's a couple of podcast episodes where I've spoke about them. I'll tag them in the show notes as well. But really understanding my inner world, right? I have a very clear understanding of my inner world. Almost like the film Inside Out, where you've got those emotions and they're all on the motherboard and they're like, no, I want to take over, or no, I'm going to do this. I have a very clear understanding of what those parts are. It actually means that on a day-to-day basis, I can have beliefs come up or a pattern come up or a trigger happen, because a lot of the time, and I say this to my clients, like we almost can't control the external triggers, right? We can't control who's posting what, or what someone does, or someone's behaviors or actions. It's what we actually do with that counts. And I think when you have this complete awareness around what goes on internally, you can move through it quicker. So the first thing that I do on a daily basis is just be very aware of my subconscious mind. Like, I'm just very aware of it. And to gain that awareness is by doing the deep subconscious work. That's why I have the membership. So you can actually, inside the subconscious membership, I train you to have a daily subconscious check-in. So there's a part in the membership where you have a daily subconscious check-in. It's a meditation that you do in the morning, and you follow the journal prompts. And actually that specific classroom inside the membership is training your subconscious mind to go, oh, this thought's come up. Oh, that part's here. Oh, this is happening right now. And instead of you sitting in it or being in it or then behaving from it for the rest of the day, you can go, let me get curious at that. Let me get curious. And that's kind of the second thing that I do. I get really curious. Like, I'm very much in self a lot of the time. And what I mean by self is where we want to be when we're running our business: calm, capable, confident, curious, creative. Like, we want the C's. And when you're in that self, you're more in the prefrontal cortex. So better work, better decision making, better creativity, all of those things. We're less in the amygdala, we're less in the fight or flight, we're less in the emotions, which means I can regulate my body quicker, but I can equally move through it and become the observer almost of my thoughts. And from a subconscious point of view of what I do every day, from a subconscious work point of view, is I have the awareness around what's going on, if anything is going on. I get curious with it and become the observer, and then I know exactly what to do or where to go to change. That is where the tools come in. And, I have different tools. Maybe it is a bit more of a hypnotherapy that I need to tap into. I don't do hypnotherapy every day. Sometimes I'll go a couple of weeks without doing a track, the same as visualization. Like, I'll visualize without a track most days, depending on what we're doing and how I'm doing it. But like, from a let me sit down and do the work, like, it's not very often that I do that because I've got these things in place. And I think this is what I love about the membership so much, is it's like that place where you can plug in and go, right, awareness, curiosity, become the observer. Now what do I need to do? So that's kind of my first three that I do every single day, because I have thoughts every single day, lo and behold. So do all of us. So having the awareness, and I think that's really where my clients, when we're doing the work together on a one-to-one basis or inside the membership, for me, that's where we begin. It's really getting my clients feeling comfortable with being uncomfortable of the awareness of the thoughts that are happening. That was a big mouthful, but it really allows you to then start doing the work and knowing where to do the work. And that is what it is for me. It's the awareness, it's the curiosity, becoming the observer, and then going, right, what needs to happen from here? So maybe sometimes it's a bit of a mindset shift. It's a bit of a break state. Maybe I need to go and have a dance, do a walk, shake my body out. Maybe it is going a bit deeper. Like, if it's a belief that's come up, and where I'm like, oh, not entirely sure where that's coming from, or that feels a little bit new, or I haven't worked on that belief before, that's when I'll grab my pen and paper. I'll start writing down the beliefs. I'll start understanding where it's coming from. Probably do a little bit of timeline therapy, which again is in the membership. Like, all of these things, again, this is why I started the membership, because it really allows you to plug in and go, I am constantly switched on, tuned in, really understanding of my subconscious, so I can work through these things and be in self more, because that's where the freaking magic happens, let me tell you. And then that's where I'll tap into the tools and have those in my tool belt. So meditation, hypnotherapy, going on a walk, like sometimes it's the simplest things. It doesn't have to be, like I said, this huge, massive, like subconscious breakthrough that I have to do all the time. Sometimes it is if it's a big belief, but actually on a day-to-day basis, the practical daily subconscious exercises that I do to strengthen my subconscious mind and to get the success that I have and carry on getting the success that I have, or understanding why I'm not having the success that I have, is through those first 3 steps. Self-awareness of my thoughts, of my beliefs, of my patterns, of my parts. Step 2, pure curiosity, rather than getting stuck in the amygdala, going into fight or flight, allowing those parts to take over, allowing those thoughts to take over, which sometimes they do for a couple of minutes, 5 minutes, half an hour, and I can pull myself back out. And then it's becoming the observer. So going, oh, okay, if I'm up at a bird's eye view here, looking down on me having these thoughts or having these feelings, what do I want to do with them? How do I want to work through this? What does it look like for me? How does it feel for me? What can I do here? It really does start to change the game. And like I said, it's not this massive process. It's like boom, boom, boom. And I've worked through it within 5 minutes. I don't have to keep going to get a piece of paper. I don't have to keep like doing all these massively extra things. It's about learning how to regulate your subconscious, which then in fact regulates your nervous system, which allows you to show up better in your business. So that was a little journey of my subconscious journey. And what I do now. And like I said, I'm not constantly plugged in. I love having the hypnotherapy tracks there, the visualizations. They're very important, especially when you're at the start journey of your subconscious journey, to really embed the new beliefs, the new patterns, the new behaviors. And look, if I'm bringing anything new into my world, into my behavioral changes, into anything like that, I will go and use those visualizations, meditations, hypnosis tracks, really plugging in and understanding that. But more than anything, it's why I created the membership. It's that daily subconscious check-in that allows you to start to actually become a leader of your own mind, like leading yourself into the breakthroughs that you need, the support that you need, the tools that you need. And that starts with self-awareness, curiosity, and then becoming the observer to know what to do next. So if you want to stay constantly plugged in, if you want to have that place in your business that's not like what more strategy can I do, but it's like how can I support myself subconsciously today, the subconscious membership is where you need to be, because it truly is the place where you can plug in, have the understanding, the support, the tools, the community to keep your subconscious in maintenance, because the people, the clients who have kept maintenance on their subconscious mind are the clients who continue to grow and grow and grow. The clients who have done work on their subconscious mind, got complacent and then stopped doing them, have sabotaged and they go back and we have to then work back around the cycle. So dive into the subconscious membership. I would love to have you in there. It is such a powerful community of incredible powerhouses, all wanting and driven and, driving towards those goals, but with that subconscious mind in play as well. I hope you've enjoyed a little insight into my subconscious world, and I will see you on the next episode. Mwah!